Lott, the incoming commander of the South Carolina State Guard. Command Sergeant Major Mark Freeman, the outgoing Command Sergeant Major. Command Sergeant Major Howard C., the incoming Command Sergeant Major. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. All right. Good afternoon. I would like to welcome our Governor, His Excellency, Governor Henry McMaster, Major General Robert E. Livingston, Jr., the Adjutant General of South Carolina, Lieutenant General Michael Garrett, other general officers, invited guests, dignitaries, families, and friends. On behalf of Major General Robert E. Livingston, Jr., Major General Thomas S. Mullikin, the outgoing commander of the South Carolina State Guard, and Brigadier General Leon L. Lott, the incoming commander of the South Carolina State Guard, welcome to this historic event. Command Sergeant Major Mark Freeman relinquishes the duties of Division Command Sergeant Major to incoming Command Sergeant Major Howard C. I ask you now please stand for our invocation. Chaplain Hayes will now offer the invocation.
Let us pray. Dear God, you are Lord of lords and King of kings. We magnify your name and praise you for your glory by providing guidance and protection over us in our beloved state of South Carolina. On this historic day, we invoke your presence in this State House as we bear witness to this change of command ceremony in this historic Senate chamber. We commend you for giving us fearless and faithful leaders who are committed to your will and fulfilling the mission you have destined us to complete. We are humbled that you have increased the State Guard with selfless servants who are trained and ready to meet any emergency, whether man-made or natural disaster. We know that we are nothing without you. Therefore, we adore you and thank you for your boundless love that restores us in an abiding sense of purpose and meaning through your word. In your name we pray. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. At this time, a bouquet of red roses will now be presented to Mrs. Virginia Ann Mullikin and Mrs. Emily Freeman for their tireless efforts to the soldiers and families of the South Carolina State Guard.
Sound, attention!
Throughout recorded history, ceremonies have been an integral part of military life. In earlier years, ceremony was a major part of preparation for battle and actual maneuvers. The ceremony you witness today is a descendant of European and American military tradition. The change of command is the most important organizational technique used by the military. It is the succession of commanders through which command is exercised. Constant and continuous use of the chain of command is vital to the readiness of any military unit. Every effort is made to maintain continuous responsibility of authority. Today's event is another historical event for the South Carolina State Guard. This location is the center of recorded history for the state of South Carolina. The state of South Carolina that Francis Marion set out to liberate from British control in August of 1780 was the key theater of operations in the American Revolution at that point. More battles, engagements, skirmishes were fought in South Carolina during the Revolution than in any other colony. Conservative estimates place the number of combat actions in the state of South Carolina at more than 200, a third of all that took place during the entire war. No other colony had as many inches of its territory affected by battle. South Carolina has 46 counties, represented by the seats and desks before you in this chamber. Out of those 46 counties you see here today, 45 ended up seeing Revolutionary War actions. Nearly 20% of all Americans who died in battle in the Revolution died in South Carolina in the last 2 years of the war. The South Carolina State Guard is the oldest serving military organization in the state and comes to this historic place to carry on that tradition of service.
State Guard, present arms! Sir, the command is formed. Order, arms!
The rendering of honors to the senior commander traditionally indicated that the unit was formed and prepared for battle. It now symbolizes respect and loyalty to the commander. Ladies and gentlemen, please continue standing for the presentation of the colors and our national anthem.
State Guard, present arms! Color Guard, present colors!
Color guard. Attempt. Carry color. Forward march. Color. Halt. Present color.
Sir, colors are present.
Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming through broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight? For the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Order, arms!
Order. Color.
Parade, here, at ease.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, Major General Thomas Mullikin.
Wow, what a sight. What a sight. It's a happy moment. I think that some folks thought I might be sad after spending so much time, but I gotta tell you, I feel like I've given birth. And I want to say before I go any further that we sort of added a little bit of pressure on ourselves today, having Medal of Honor recipient, Lieutenant General Garrett, his lovely wife, Lorelei. I want to say that anything good that's come out of the last 6 years, and I'll say this again, but I want to say it right off the top, it's come by virtue of the vision and the strength of our tremendous leader, the Adjutant General, Major General Jim Livingston. Bob Livingston, not here, friend. Thank you, boss. And I hope that you're pleased. We've done the very best we can. To tie in, this is volunteerism right here. As I look, and I've got some remarks and I'll get to them, I see uniforms that weren't purchased by the government. I see a choir that was built. I understand the assets that were built. I look around and I see friends that helped build this. It's been volunteerism and friendship all around. So let me start off by saying good afternoon to the greatest governor in the history of the South Carolina, our great Governor Henry McMaster. His Excellency, demonstration of love for a man's dedication and service to South Carolina with his lovely wife, Peggy. God bless you and all you do for keeping our great governor moving and for what you did over the last several years. Major General Jim Livingston, our Medal of Honor recipient, his lovely wife. We had early, and he and I had a chance to speak early on in this rebuild of the South Carolina State Guard. Major General Livingston was kind enough to come up and speak to our Corps about leadership and about demonstration of excellence and about establishing a standard and staying there. And that's what we try to do. We had very good command vision from one General Livingston, and we had leadership training from another, and we were destined for greatness because of those two. And as I look at Lorelei, I think about Lieutenant General Garrett collecting used uniforms for us and participating in our hurricane night and the many things that we've been able to do and learning from his tremendous leadership. For folks who know me, and as Linda Alexander sits there, I'm certain that she would be happy to come up and give her testimony. I don't go very far without calling on my leader, my great friend, and the man who made today possible, Senator Thomas Alexander. Thomas Alexander's been there for all of it. I've heard our Adjutant General, Major General Livingston, talk about our first hurricane night down in Charleston. Good to see you, sir. And I want to say our dear friend, Major General Van McCarty, who's been with us every step of the way. Our first hurricane night, now we've had several, was down in Charleston. We decided we were going to focus on physical fitness. So we had a 15-mile hike with 75 pounds. And it was over. We had a couple hundred less members, and we had room for some new fresh blood, and I think 12 of us finished, and a few of us are still hanging around. It was a great day. Bobby down in Charleston. It's a beautiful place. Recommended without 75 pounds. General Garrett, Thomas Alexander drove from Walhalla down to Charleston to be with us that day, to hike with us, and he's been with us every step of the way. Senator Goldfish, let me say that I have personally never witnessed a higher example of selflessness than Senator Goldfish, who showed up for drill, driving up from the coast, being with us on the weekends, and was with us for a year before anybody ever realized he was a member of the legislature. That's a man who came in simply to serve. And what you'll hear when I get started is this just about selflessness. And if you're here and you're looking for glory or you're looking for pay, you really came to the wrong bunch. Because we're not going to get a lot either. And that's the history. We're proud of our history. In fact, let me say that we appreciate the opportunity to be in this room today. And as I'll speak about a little bit more, please don't think this is any sort of celebration of Mullikin or Lott, but allow us to think today and remember those great patriots who did serve in the militia without pay or glory at a time when it really mattered, fighting for our independence. If you heard these wonderful angels, as I said, play the violins, we heard them up at Kings Mountain 238th anniversary of the Battle of Kings Mountain that was fought by the South Carolina militia. These are men and women who stood the line when it mattered, without pay, without glory, and that's simply the tradition that we've striven for over these last several years, and it's why we're here. And it's all we'll ever get is a sense of satisfaction of service. So let me say to my good friend Senator Cromer, his beautiful wife, thank you. And people say, well, what do you think when you handing this over to a man as great as Leon Lott? Leon Lott's been my hero since I was in college. Some people had Miami Vice. We had Leon Lott. He is a demonstration of excellence. So do I think things are going to get better? I think they're going to get a lot better. I've done the best I can. I'm a blue-collar guy. Leon is a demonstration of excellence and elite service. To all of our friends, Congressman Joe Wilson, who's been with us every step of the way, he's been to our national conferences. Attorney General Alan Wilson, thank you, and God bless you for your service. We have a friend here who's with us and helped us establish our physical requirements. Dan Lynch, who came up through the 1st Special Forces Group. Dan, where are you sitting? Went on to spend a career in a very elite group. I'm told I can't call it by name, but you might know what I'm talking about. Did great things and talked to us about physical fitness. I want to call out a friend of mine. He and I have been together a very long time. Have traveled all over the country together. And I want to say he's one of those silent warriors throughout this. James Alessio headed our civil affairs organization from its inception and was there every single year on behalf of himself and his wife Robin and daughter Caitlin, but also on behalf of our tremendous corporate sponsor, Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina. Thank you, James. God bless you, brother. And then finally, I want to say something to my wife because this is a long ride. It started a long time ago when I was in and out, and continue to want to do it. And Virginia Ann, my lovely wife, and my children, my grandchildren, thank you for putting up. Thank you for the privilege to serve each of you under the brilliant leadership of our Adjutant General, Major General Lott Livingston. Say it again. It cannot be stressed because our people didn't always see General Livingston. I not only saw him, but I felt him from time to time. He was a very strong hand leading us and giving us the direction that we needed to really begin to make a difference. And our great Commander-in-Chief, Governor Henry McMaster, when I first came in, I think you'll remember this, at Coles, I called the Attorney General and asked him if he would be willing to talk about the State Guard. I knew he'd been in the United States Army Reserve as a JAG officer, and I wanted to try to recruit him. I've been told I recruit everybody. We had a very good conversation, and I was moved not only by the leadership that he gave us, but during Joaquin. Not when the TV cameras were there, but when he called and said, "Can I come see the troops?" when we were on top of the Columbia Canal with General Livingston, averting a disaster with our engineers. Not because he wanted press at it, but because he was concerned about the people that were serving. And I've heard him say many times in his trouble that our people not only serve for free, but it costs them money to get to and from training. It costs us money no different than it cost our earliest ancestors as part of this, but we appreciate his heart for the state and his demonstration of leadership for us. So let me say that the profound responsibility of standing on the shoulders of giants like our first commander, Brigadier General Francis Merritt, the fighting Gamecock, Thomas Sumter, Andrew Pickens, Lieutenant Colonel Henry Lawrence, who would go on to be the first president of the Continental Congress, and other great leaders like the young Andrew Jackson, who was a courier and was taken prisoner, kept in a British brig in Camden for refusing to shine the boots of a British officer. And for those of you who are familiar with his photographs or his portraits, he carried a scar on his face that he got from a sword from that same British officer, but refused to bend a knee. We've had great leaders like Strom Thurmond, others. It's been the privilege of a lifetime to stand on their shoulders, and also a tremendous responsibility because notwithstanding the way that we might have been viewed, we understood what our history was. And the truth is, we do go back to 1670. We, the state, I've had an opportunity to go to people's grave sites with our members who have never served a day in the federal service. Not that that's a bad thing, but their families have served in the militia because they wanted to give. We've worked together. We've fought storms together. We've provided security together around riotous prisons. We've searched diligently for the lost and deceased. We've provided legal support for our federal troops and prayed as a force and a state together. In the midst of a society often defined by fast food, a quick buck, and a sliding scale for morality, stands our militia that has protected our state of South Carolina for more than 300 years. An organization built not to seek money or glory, but one rather deeply rooted in the values of selfless, effective, and professional service for family, community, and state. An organization dedicated, as one author would encourage, to rise out of the vanity of time and into the riches of eternity. As the recent hurricanes have demonstrated, we are truly caught in an inescapable network of mutuality. Tied in a single garment of destiny, whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. And if you are out working on that storm, you know exactly what I'm talking about. As you saw the federal forces, Title 10, the National Guard, the local emergency agencies, our great leaders, all the communities across the state come together. And now the governor is going on and leaning forward to address this issue in this state. Together over the last 6 years, we have worked with great determination to knit together some of the world's most elite professionals. We have begun to paint the mosaic of a beautiful state. Yes, black and white, male and female, young and more experienced. Together we have sought to provide the security blanket that our families have counted on for more than 300 years. Building a network of professionals to continue to selflessly serve our great state has been the author of the Book of Hebrews once said, and is memorialized as hope is our anchor for the soul firm and secure. To whatever degree I have added any measure of success to our efforts, I give all the glory to the Lord and to the command vision articulated by my friend and boss and fellow diver and fellow mountain climber, Major General Bob Livingston. It's been in his hand that you see what has been given birth to here, or rebirth. Further, I could not overstate the tremendous privilege of serving the greatest governor of my lifetime, my longtime friend, brilliant leader, and governor of the state of South Carolina, Henry McMaster. For those of you who may not understand the background of the State Guard, because we get asked about it, we wear similar uniforms to the National Guard. Our National Guard has been one of the premier and elite warfighters now. We've been at war a very long time. And in addition to the war fighting, they come home to find themselves saddled with hurricane duty. And we tried to fill a breach, a need to supplement, not supplant these great warriors. But they do that as Title 10 and Title 32. They're authorized under Title 32 of the U.S. Code, Section 101, and we're authorized under Section 109. We're both then pushed over and regulated by the National Guard Bureau. And then a state defense force is delegated to a state to determine how best to use it. Only 23 states have state defense forces. General Livingston was very clear with his direction. And I remember well when we first sat down, and he had been the captain of a volunteer fire department, which are very robust parts of our community. We all know that. They train and they serve shoulder to shoulder with paid fire. He said, I want a professional, well-trained, well-organized, effective state defense force, and that's what we set out to do. The historic State Guard has protected South Carolina since 1670. Our volunteers have served in every major conflict and disaster that has come to our shores. Today, the State Guard is comprised of elite professionals. So let me say, with William Floyd built 25 JAG officers, not bad for a volunteer organization like ours. Our ecclesiastical chaplains, 25 ecclesiastical chaplains, more than 60 medical officers, more than 150 professional engineers, 65 licensed law enforcement officers. I see Chief Cowan, we're going to get another one before I get out of here today. Communications professionals, public relations experts, and nationally certified search and rescue experts who train and serve primarily in the event of a natural disaster and in support during a man-made disaster. The State Guard is truly fully integrated member of the state's emergency management system. During the recent hurricanes, the State Guard has provided more than 45,000 hours of service. 45,000. That's in addition to training. And why is that important? Because those are hours that would have otherwise had to be picked up by another paid element. We did it for free. And not only did we do it for free, but our hours can also now be used as reimbursement under FEMA. So we're not only offsetting costs, we're driving revenues into the state. And that was the vision, and we have arrived now at no cost to the state. During the early reformation of the State Guard, we received all of our uniforms. I'll put mine in a box. Virginia Ann's already done it, I think. She'll take this off and hide it from me when I go home. The uniform that I wore during the entire time had mud stains. People said, sir, why do you wear that? Because it reminds me that the first uniforms that we got, the ones that we didn't get from General Garrett, came from washouts at Fort Jackson, that we showed up with pickup trucks. They put them in the back of the pickup truck. We took them home, washed them, folded them, and that was our supply closet. That's what we wore. Why did we do that, Mayor? Because we've never been paid. We've never been paid and don't want to be paid. We will refuse pay because it's not the tradition. It's not what those who've given us this freedom and opportunity for prosperity that we enjoy today. That's not the tradition. Today we have nearly 1,000 organized along the lines of the United States Army, 3 battalions and division headquarters. Every member is trained and certified in disaster response and emergency management. Sir, we're not all riflemen like the Marines first, but we are trained in CERT first. So we tried to follow up on your guidance there. and we have other FEMA courses that we have. All of our professionals are certified. Our attorneys by the state of South Carolina. Our licensed communications professionals, now General McCarty, our cyber specialist that we're working on, certified. Doctors, nurses, medical first responders, engineers, design professionals, law enforcement officers, ordained and certified ecclesiastical pastors and counselors, certified search and rescue that have had to go out and find deceased members of our community. It's not just training for the sake of training. We've harnessed the volunteer and selfless spirit of South Carolina to build upon the tremendous legacy of the militia. We are now truly an integral part of our emergency management system. We're proud that during the recent floods associated with our hurricanes, we recruited an internationally recognized marine scientist and computer modelers into the South Carolina State Guard, because if we can talk them into coming, we can get them. And if you give me an hour with them, I'll get them. Because they just want me to leave. PhDs all, they came in, they were doing the computer modeling. We would sit down with General Livingston, General McCarty, and we'd go through this, and these guys were doing the bench science that would go to NOAA, that would go to DHS, that would come back to our CEOC, that would go to our job. We were sitting in General McCarty's office getting this science from Myrtle Beach. These people are volunteers because we didn't think about we want to be better than Lugoff or we want to be better than Seneca. We want to be the best in the world. So we went out and we got the best in the world. This multidisciplinary approach that we call a criticality matrix, when coupled with our engineers and search and rescue, help provide, you look at that 1,000-year event that we had with Joaquin, and you look at that and you juxtapose that to Katrina and Rita. And the fact that we can't, it's hard to disprove a negative. We had a handful of deaths, most of which were associated with driving around cones. We didn't have 1,000 deaths, General Wishart. Thank you for all you did with us. We didn't have those deaths because we had an integrated team that was operating at the direction of General Livingston. We can be the first to arrive. The State Guard can deploy in 8 hours. We like to deploy. We want to deploy. These professionals with notification, with hundreds of trained professionals who are prepared to serve for a minimum of 72 hours. The State Guard's volunteer response fills that gap while the full-time assets are mobilized and will remain until the disaster is mitigated. Our engineers, sir, we talked about this, Aiden Nichols, right? For 4 months after that hurricane. 4 months our volunteers. Now that's volunteering. 4 months. Where's Marguerite? I know you'll correct me. Am I right about that? Okay, good. Thank you for that. She usually corrects me. 4 months, approximately. We have become a part of the South Carolina Helicopter Aquatic Rescue Team. The General Assembly has determined a priority to provide us a little bit more resources, and we appreciate that. And we've gotten money now for training. But I'll say again that we have refused to pay. We've refused pay. We're not going to take pay. Now, in an hour from now, they might take pay. We weren't going to take pay. And you know what? People who thought I was hard, woo, wait until General Lott gets there. He's going to run a tight ship, and I can't wait to see it. The State Guard is comprised of selfless servants carrying on a long-held tradition. We seek only to provide that blanket of local support that has protected our families for generations. No member of the State Guard was paid or reimbursed for their travel. They paid for their uniforms, what they're wearing today. Just some of the accomplishments, and I'll move through this quickly. We recruited a team of marine scientists. We put together 150 engineers. We did community health checks, shelter operations, certified law enforcement officers. We provided additional security around the prisons with the riots that became so publicized. We provided security around the search and rescue and out-of-state swiftwater rescue. Our chaplaincy counseling has provided tremendous counseling to victims. We provided manpower, shelters, law enforcement support, SAR support, elevated soldier training. We changed the demographic of the force by reducing it by 10 years. Our racial demographics, which was never a political issue, is now directly on the same percentage as the state of South Carolina. So when I tell you the words that we have painted the mosaic of this great state. That's exactly what I mean, and we are working towards gender equality with this. And that's something that we can do, and we will continue doing that. Marguerite, we could not possibly have a better commander of our engineer than Marguerite. We are harnessing all of that, young and old. These are just to name a few of the accomplishments of this team that's in here today. History paints a very similar picture of our situation, because we've had people who have come in and wanted glory, they don't stay long. And so we have one of the premier historians that's in the Civil, who's written several new books that I can recommend to you. And he recommended a book by an author named John Lott, who wrote his famous examination of our first commander, Brigadier General Francis Marion. In his book, the treatise Swampox, How Francis Marion Saved the American Revolution. That at last, the long British occupation was over. The Army entered Charleston in triumph. That night, the city was full of celebration, ushering in a return of the pre-war Charleston of dances, concerts, and gentle One group conspicuous by its absence was the militia. That same militia that fought and won Kings Mountain, which we now know as the pivotal battle in the War of Independence. Francis Marion, recognizing the slight when he saw one, begged off with the excuse that he had never had smallpox and was afraid of catching it in Charleston. As for his men, he said they had no desire to go into town anyway. And so the militia, who had been instrumental in liberating South Carolina, was not there to witness the historic joyous scene. We have stood watch over our great state for more than 300 years, never for glory, never for pay, just for freedom and the protection of this God-given, beautiful Palmetto state. Together under the command of our Adjutant General, Major General Bob Livingston, the State Guard has continued to provide elite, noteworthy service without need for pay or recognition. Our militia, instrumental in the fighting for the freedoms we enjoy and the protections of our family, serve for one reason and one reason only. And I promise you, you're going to have to hear this for the last time. We serve for one reason. Now, we have a number of former Green Beret Marines, and they hate it when I go here. I'm looking for Sully. I'm not going to look back at Leon.
Look, sir.
We serve for one reason. We serve because of love. Some people don't want to talk about it. We serve for the same reason our governor serves, and you can feel it. We serve for love, love of state, love of community, love of family, love of each other. And as we have built that culture, we have unleashed the talents of this state. We are at 1,000 now, we could be 5,000. I can say that now because Leon has taken over. We serve because of love. Our members, elite professionals all, have set the standard nationally for not only domestic protection, but also serve as a beacon of light for those patriots seeking to help fill the hole in the soul of our nation, a hole witnessed by the degradation of our culture, as we have allowed our values to erode from those of our founding principles. The founding principles that inspired, framed, and built the United States of America. Think on those words. We are the historic State Guard. We will neither seek glory nor beg for respect. And when we got there and we got people to quit trying to be something else, be proud of that blue flag, we saw ourselves begin to take off on the trajectory Major General Jim Livingston talked to us about wanting to be elite with you. Don't try to be somebody else. The founding principles that inspired, framed, and built the United States of America. However, my command will be measured either large or small. Allow me to publicly say that what I have received will always outweigh any small contribution that I made. And if you don't believe me, join up. You will have a sense of satisfaction in giving that you could not get from $1 million or a new house or a race car or a boat. Just giving back what you get in return is so much more important and so much more meaningful. In working with this historic organization, I found and witnessed the greatest of all, deep and abiding love of one's neighbor. And I have learned humility. A Virginian laughed at this for maybe good reason, and I add, a characteristic that I was slow to grasp, because I was not born with an ounce of humility. And what I have found is that it's a gift that I will cherish along with a renewed faith and spirit, character, and heart of a beloved state. As I look, I want to leave you with this, and I will just simply wrap up. I know that we are on a trajectory that General Lott and his command team will take us to continue greater heights. I'm confident that my friends will move forward with the same indomitable spirit as the Gurkhas we talked about so much in this organization. So I say in closing, as I look once more in the eyes of each of you, I'm reminded of the words of Sir Ralph Lilly Turner, who spoke about a small but equally determined organization. One that I see a parallel to us and have spoken about often. That of the Gurkhas from the Gurkha region of Nepal. He wrote of his comrades, "My thoughts return to you, who are my comrades, stubborn and indomitable." He'll be back. You'll see what stubborn looks like in a minute. Once more I hear the laughter which greeted every hardship. Once more I see now shivering with wet and cold. Uncomplaining you endure, bravest of the brave, most generous of the generous. Never had a country more faithful friends than you. I am confident that you, my friends, will move forward with the same indomitable spirit, eager to serve our state and beloved residents. So I ask each of you in party to never grow complacent, to never forget the very values for which this organization stands. That of selflessness, humility, and strength, under fire, because it's these values and the men and women who stood steadfast and built the greatest state and the greatest nation ever known on earth. Stay strong, my friends, and may God continue to bless each one of you, your families, the historic South Carolina State Guard, and our beloved state of South Carolina. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, Major General Thomas Mullikin. At this time, Major General Mullikin and the Command Sergeants Major will oversee the transfer of authority. Take guard! Attention! The South Carolina State Guard Command Sergeant Major Mark Freeman will now oversee the transfer of responsibility. At this time, Command Sergeant Major Mark Freeman, Major General Thomas Mullikin, Command Sergeant Major Howard C., and Command Sergeant Major Ken Cade will pass the non-commissioned officer's sword. This ceremony originated in 1840, adopted the unique non-commissioned officer's sword. It is a completely functional weapon, not intended for display, but rather for hard and dedicated use. While no longer a part of the Army's inventory, American sergeants wore it for over 70 years. The passing of the sword signifies the relinquishing of responsibility and authority from the outgoing to the incoming Command Sergeant Major. Command Sergeant Majors may come and go, but the sword remains razor sharp. At this time, Command Sergeant Major Cade, the Operations Sergeant Major, retrieves the non-commissioned officer's sword from Sergeant Martin, the color bearer, who is entrusted with the symbol of the unit. Sergeant Martin holds the non-commissioned officer's sword, which is the symbol of authority of the non-commissioned officer. Operations Commander Sergeant Major passes the sword to the outgoing division Command Sergeant Major in final deference to his authority and leadership. The outgoing division Command Sergeant Major, Sergeant Major Mark Freeman, passes his sword to South Carolina State Guard Commander, Major General Thomas Mullikin, signifying the relinquishing of his duties and gratitude for the opportunity to care for the fine soldiers of the South Carolina State Guard. The commander, Major General Thomas Mullikin, passes his sword to the incoming division Command Sergeant Major Howard C., delegating authority and entrusting him with the responsibility and care of the division. The incoming division command sergeant major passes the sword back to the operations sergeant major and then to the sword bearer, symbolizing the dedication to the soldiers of the South Carolina State Guard and the continuity of the non-commissioned officer support channel. This concludes the change of the guard. The commanders will now take their place for the passing of the colors. Colors were a part of battle formations up through the American Civil War. The presentation of unit colors, along with the American flag and the national anthem, symbolize the soldier's allegiance to the unit and the nation. The passing of the colors and the assumption of command is the official change of command. This procedure, which includes the command sergeant major and the parent unit commander, represents the involvement of all membership of the unit and the continuity of command with the change in leadership. Atop of the South Carolina State Guard colors are 8 battle streams that represent battles fought by members of the South Carolina Militia since 1776. At this time, Command Sergeant Major Howard C. presents the colors to Major General Thomas Mullikin. Major General Thomas Mullikin presents the colors to Major General Robert Livingston. Attention to orders. Orders 157-2. Lott Jr., Leon L. You are reassigned as indicated. Reassigned from Deputy Commander, Headquarters, South Carolina State Guard. Reassigned to Commander, South Carolina State Guard. Effective date, 1 December 2018. Authority, Section 25-390, Code of Laws of the State of South Carolina, 1976, as amended. Official, as signed below, Robert E. Livingston, Jr., Major General, the Adjutant General, South Carolina. At this time, Major General Robert Livingston passes the colors to Brigadier General Leon Lott. And Brigadier General Leon Lott then returns the colors back to Command Sergeant Major C. This concludes the passing of the colors. State Guard! Parade! Pass! Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to introduce you to His Excellency, the Governor of the State of South Carolina.
It's an honor for me to be here with you. As Lieutenant Governor for 2 years, I presided over this assembly here in this room, 46 senators, and for those 2 years, and I can promise you I had several times more than that here today. This is a lot more. Holy crap. you stand up when you're supposed to. That's one of the things that makes South Carolina so great, as we was alluding to earlier. We come from the very beginning. Nobody was here before we were. If you go back and read the history books, probably the most comprehensive one written by Walter Edgar, where he described where we all came from and the conditions in which we arrived and so forth. And he remarks that we came from a lot of different places and a lot of different conditions. But we all came to work one way or another. And we came from 9 European countries, from 19 West African cultures, and we arrived in a place where at one time or another there had been over 40 different American, Native American, or Indian cultures. So you can't get any more diverse than we are. And you can't find a more beautiful place to be than what we have. All the explorers were writing back from the 1500s and thereafter to their sovereigns about the great beauty and abundance of this place that they would call South Carolina. There's not another place like it. Big and I just came from Arizona. There's no water out there. There's no green out there. If you like rocks and cactus, that's the place to go. You don't know a great story. John McCain said there's so little water in Arizona, the trees chase the dogs. We're living in paradise. We're living in paradise. And throughout it all, we came here, we have a great military tradition and a great religious tradition of faith. And it's those things combined with paradise that have made us so different. And we have been blessed and we are different from other people around the country. And I get the chance that some of the attorney general, then as lieutenant governor, especially the governor, get a chance to talk to people that a lot of folks don't ever have a chance to meet. And I can tell you, they all say the same thing. They say, when we ask them, why are you coming to South Carolina? They all have various reasons, but they all say one thing. They say, we're in South Carolina for 3 reasons. The people, the people, the people. There's something different about the people of South Carolina. And you can see it reflected right here. And part of it is the great military tradition. We've been fighting since the very beginning. We've been fighting since the very beginning. If there had been a fight in the history of this country or the colonies, we had been in, and even before then. And you take that military tradition, and so much on display by the National Guard, by the State Guard, and other institutions. One specifically, I think, is the Citadel, created in 1842. Same time the Arsenal Academy was created, the same legislative act, 1842. Part of that still stands. That's today the governor's mansion. The rest is in Charleston. But if you ever get a chance to go to court day, if you haven't been, you need to go look at it. You won't be the same. Well, sometimes we worry about the country, we worry about the young people, we wonder about what do they understand, that they realize how we got here, that they realize that people had to die for us to get to where we are. Do they understand? And then you go and you see something like court day, and you see those cadets in the white dress, and it'll make you proud. Every time I see uniform, I realize, and remember again, and thank all over again for what has been given, but necessarily been given for us to be where we are. There's no turning back, and we're not going to drop the ball. We're going to keep going. South Carolina is different. The state guard is different. The state guard makes us better. The National Guard makes us better. Our military tradition makes us better, makes us strong. And we're going to press forward, indeed, building on the greatness that has been accumulated and built at great price, at great risk over the years. Our future is bright now as it can ever be. And as long as we stay strong, we will go right straight to the top, and we will have generations of South Carolinians leading this country in every capacity. From preachers to teachers to lawyers to doctors to scientists to generals and everything in between. So this is a great moment. It's a great moment for me, a proud moment to be here. And I will ask you all to tell the children, always be proud of South Carolina. There is not a better place. God bless America. God bless the state guard. God bless our national guard. God bless our military. God bless South Carolina. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor McMaster. Ladies and gentlemen, the Adjutant General of the state of South Carolina, Major General Robert E. Livingston, Jr.
Governor, General Livingston, General Garrett, fellow general officers, especially Ms. Peggy, the sir over there, Jamie and Andrew down there somewhere, and Barbara, because it is about the service members and about families. It's a great privilege to be with you today. It's a great privilege to see the great transformation. It's a great joy to see the transformation that has occurred with our great state guard. Tom, I remember us talking, we started a little bit of transition with Richard and that group, and boy, you and I talked about it, and you have just taken off, so great job there. When we, we got a full weekend. It don't seem like every weekend is full, but it always seems like, to me, my weekends build to something I need to recognize. And so Friday, or really starting Thursday evening, I was meeting with my senior commanders. And then Friday I went into my total command group, and we had a strategy session. And then this morning, Barbara and I spent some time with troops that had just returned from Afghanistan, and troops that are now going into Kuwait, and of course from Kuwait they'll go into Iraq and Syria. One of those units was the 1221st, Route Clearance Company. Tough job, because they actually go out and they find the things that nobody else wants to find. And the bad guys don't want them to find. And their last deployment was tough. And then we went and spent lunchtime with the Survivor Outreach Program, the families of the fallen, especially the Gold Star families, those who died in combat. And we made a connection back with the Raven family who lost a loved one with the 1221st. And so that continuity of service, that continuity of sacrifice was reinforced throughout the last 3 or 4 days. And then I get a chance to come to this great venue and spend time with so many wonderful people. And it takes us all the way back. Tom talked about it. Tom, I think you got the notes. But since 1670 here in South Carolina. And I maintain there are two things that make this state great. We got the environment, we're living in paradise to begin with. I got that, Governor. But two big things, and things that extend into our country. The first one is we're blessed. We're blessed by our Creator and our Savior. The second thing is we have people that have the opportunity to be and do whatever they want to do and whatever they want to be. That's the great thing about this nation. But they choose to give back. They choose to give to their family, their community, their state, and then their nation. And it's important that we do it in that order. We don't have this great benevolent state that's giving to us. We are giving to the state. And we are safeguarding the people of this great state and this great nation. And that's a tradition. That's a heritage. When we look at back in history, and I told the Gold Star families this just a little while ago, when we look at your service, you are written in history. Your name's in history. But your contribution, especially,
this state and nation. It is who we are. You have formed the next generation already. You have set the example. Just like Francis Marion, Thomas Sumter, those who set the stage for this great state and the independence of this nation, the greatest nation on earth, what you have set in motion is yet to be determined. But what I do know is that it is in the great tradition of those who have gone before us, that selfless service, that's putting things above your own good, truly, truly living. Tom, you found the best. You've done a great job. I couldn't think of a better partner in creating an organization that serves the state so well and sets an example for the great nation. And Governor, this ties into a lot. We talk Team South Carolina all the time. And it's that interagency piece. But it starts with all of these individuals out here. They don't care about themselves. They care about others. They will leave their homes in shambles to serve the people of South Carolina. And that's just absolutely incredible. I could go on and talk about the accomplishments and things like that, but the concept, the philosophical approach that y'all have taken is just incredible. So I want to congratulate the entire State Guard for a tremendous transformation, for being a part of history, for making a difference, not just in South Carolina, because South Carolina, if you ever have a chance to look outside and see how we change the world, that palmetto tree, that courgette, it is all over the world. And I will tell you that right now. Not just what the National Guard has put out there, but what we have put out by the state. And it is known for excellence, and it's known for caring, and it's known for bringing change for good. Leon, it's always amazing to me. It always seems like we get the right guy at the right time, or the right gal. And you are. You're the right person. I look forward to serving with you, or continuing to serve with you. You're going to take this great group to the next level. Congratulations. Lots of times they'll say you got big shoes to fill. You got your own shoes. And you'll continue running with this great organization. Thank you so much for the privilege to serve with you. And God bless all of you, and God bless this great state and nation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Major General Livingston. Ladies and gentlemen, Brigadier General Leon Lott, Commander, South Carolina State Guard.
We read in the book of Isaiah, chapter 6, verse 8, the Lord said from heaven, who will go for us? Who will ascend? Who will go and love for his people. And where does love come from? From the heart. From the heart. Colonel Jimmy Doolittle in World War II said, there's nothing stronger than the heart of our nation. And that describes all the men and women who wear this uniform. And we're proud and we're honored to wear this uniform and serve this state. Our motto is trained and ready. We are trained and we are ready. We've demonstrated that, and we will continue to demonstrate that. We will continue to be trained and we will continue to be ready. I want to thank our family, our friends, our co-workers for all the support that they give us. Without their backing and their support, I would not be able to do the many challenges and things I get to do. I love all of them, and they help me every single day. Governor, Adjutant, Livingston, Tom, thank you all for having the trust and faith in me to give me this very important position. I am trained and I am ready. My governor, I am a little worried today. I look at my adjutant general, and I look at Tom. I like my hair, and I hope it's fine. Governor, when you make that call, your South Carolina State Guard will say, here we are, send us. Thank you, God bless everybody.
Thank you, Brigadier General Lott. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise now for the benediction offered by South Carolina State Guard Command Chaplain, Chaplain Donald Hayes.
Let us pray. Holy Father, what we have now witnessed, we commend to you and to your glory as we move forward with one accord. May we possess a renewed sense of mission to address your will in our lives for the benefit of the people of our great state. Let us build on the power of duty and selfless service. Grant us the gift of love to be a beacon of hope to our families, to our state, and to our nation. Empower our military, judicial, and legislative leaders to be mindful of you and those they serve. Give strength to the weak, courage to the faint-hearted, renewal to the vanquished, and dedication to the wayward. Enlighten our ways as servants and guide the paths of our governor and generals as they lead the historic South Carolina State Guard. Now go with us in peace to love and serve you with gladness and singleness of heart. In your name we pray. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Smith Trio will now perform a rendition of an early 1700s tune, Over the Hills and Far Away.
State Guard, attend.
Music has been a part of armies since their inception and was traditionally used both to control and inspire troops during marches and battle. The Army Song, the official song of the U.S. Army, concludes all Army ceremonies.
Color Guard, retire the colors.
Color guard. Reverse. Color. Carry. Color. Forward, march.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the departure of the official party.